don't need to be like very exemplary. I've seen people who say, "Oh my God, it's very difficult." It's not. You just need to do the right work, the right amount of hard work in a correct direction. Automate your life. That is what software engineer. You are automating others' tasks. Try to optimize your life also through automation. Revision is very important. Like keep a day sacred just for your revision. I do not recommend giving mock interviews with friends, like what people say. Don't give it with friends because you won't get that.
Hey guys, today we have with us Pranjal Agarwal from BIT Mesra and upcoming SWE at Microsoft. Hello Pranjal.
Hi, Kirti. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you? How are you?
I'm fine.
And how was your whole interview experience at Microsoft?
So it was an on-campus opportunity. It first of all there will be a resume-based shortlisting uh, that is based on your GPA also. Like it is on campus, so GPA matters. So based on that GPA, if certain students are selected, and then you go for the another round, which is an online assessment, like other procedures that are common. It had two questions of medium difficulty, and you needed to solve them in some time. So like there were 45 minutes approximately to solve those questions, and based on that you were called for the first technical round of interviews. And since I had previously also interviewed at Microsoft Engage, after Microsoft Engage, so I was quite familiar with the procedure. The first technical interview, like basic, they asked me my introduction, and then he directly jumped to the coding questions. So the first question was an easy question of linked list. The second question was a similar dynamic programming question, which was not exactly dynamic programming. I mean, derived from a dynamic programming question. If you have solved previously dynamic programming questions, then it would be quite fair for you to solve. It was not a very difficult interview, but a fair difficulty since it was a first round. And then approximately 30 minutes later, my second round was scheduled. So it was like overall it was a hectic process since it was on campus and all one day interviews. So after 30 minutes another round was scheduled, which was difficult. Like it began with some puzzles, like which you would easily find on GFG and interview, but there is a whole track on coding puzzles there. Those puzzles, he talked about my journey and she talked about my journey and the projects that I did. And next there were some coding questions which were based on trees, and one was dynamic programming with DFS mixed. So one question I had solved previously, first question, so I was able to do it in time. And the second question was a bit typical. It was difficult, but after certain hints from the interviewer, I was able to solve the question. Discuss all the edge cases. Always like discuss the edge cases. Plan out and discuss with the interviewer, and she will always help you out wherever you are stuck. Sometimes we are in the right direction, and they want us to succeed, so they will give you some hints, and if you incorporate them, they are likely to like more candidates which incorporate their hints in the code. So you are not selected just on the basis of coding, but also to incorporate the given feedback on that moment, because that is what software engineering is, and able to adapt to the current situation. So I did not have a lot of hopes after this interview, because the last question I used a lot of hints from the interviewer. But luckily, I was called for the another round of interview. So it was with a senior leader, hiring manager, who was a senior leader. So she had like 10 years of experience at Microsoft, and she was very cool and calm. And she talked about various CS fundamentals. She asked me operating systems, DBMS a little bit, and then she gave me a low-level design problem, which was design a phone directory. So since it is a huge code base, so she asked me to completely code just one function and lay out the various classes and diagrams for the whole program, because it was very huge. So in that moment, like each interview is 45 minutes, so it is not possible to code it in that time. So then she asked me, like, then there were some HR based questions also, since it was the last interview. So she asked me, like, she knew that I was rejected previously at Microsoft. So she asked me that why did you think that you were rejected, and how did you improve? So behavior behavior based questions like that were also asked to me, and then I got the offer for Microsoft.
Great. It looks like a very smooth journey, but like only you know like how hard it is to reach till
Right.
there.
So it appears that it's easier, but there have been a lot of interviews where you have been rejected, where you have learned a lot, and you some places where you thought that you nailed but you did not. There are some places where you learned a lot, and some places where you think that everything went fine but it did not. So there are a lot of learning experiences, and you would like, this is a long marathon, not a sprint. You have to continuously keep working without thinking. Just don't go in an interview with a mindset that I'm going to, I don't know what will happen next. Just don't think about the result. That will make you anxious. Just think that I'm going to learn something. What is the worst that could happen is that person is going to reject me. That's it. That was the worst that can happen. So I will try again. But don't think about the consequences or the result. Think about how you're learning and improving your skills. And it is difficult. Difficult times will come when you'll see consequent rejections or some things like that. But eventually it will turn out fine. Just keep hope, faith, and keep improving your yourself. It's long journey.
So good to hear. And like, since what age have you been coding? Like, did you start coding after going to college, or did you have a touch of it before?
In high, like in 11th and 12th, my elective was computer science, so I was in touch with C++ programming, like basic, very basic. It's not much. So if somebody is not in touch since 11th, 12th, that's okay, because it's very basic. It is just so that you can acquaint yourself with subjects. And I chose because I chose it. I did not put a lot of thought in choosing my elective, because at that time JEE, you are always concentrated on
Yeah.
those other subjects. So I thought it would be easier, and I did not put a lot of thought in choosing computer science in school. But when I studied it for boards and later, so I got that I'm interested in this and I like doing it. That is why I then chose for
Great.
it.
And how many interviews have you given before Microsoft?
Lot, actually a lot. I have not counted, but a lot. And after Microsoft also, even after that, I have given interviews at Google, cleared 2 rounds, rejected in the third round.
Congratulations.
So there is a scope of improvement in everybody, in me myself also, and I would say I have to improve a lot in development areas. And the recent tech environment that is going on, it is very scary, and even scarier for the juniors that we have. They have to be even more prepared. And since there is this transformation going on, any such major change, actually you have to understand the pattern. So now the hiring will change. It will not focus a lot on your data structures and algorithm as it was right now. So the data structures and algorithms are important for any software development role. That is the bread and butter. But now the focus will be more on low-level design concepts, your computer science fundamentals, development, because competitive programming is not something that is going to land you successfully in interviews. It is a sport. Competitive programming is a sport, and it needs to be disjoint of software engineering. So these two will run parallelly, but not together now. So you have to focus on your problem solving abilities, that is data structures and algorithms, and it is you have to practice it for almost an year to be good at it, to be average at it, I would say. And apart from that, practice operating systems, database management systems, computer networks, develop good projects. You don't need to be like very exemplary. I've seen people who say, "Oh my God, it's very difficult." It's not. You just need to do the right work, the right amount of hard work in a correct direction. You do not need to study like 8, 12, 10 hours of day. It's not important. You can do just 2, 3 hours a day, but in the right direction, it will work.
Great. And what were the topics you focused most on for, particularly for the Microsoft interview?
So computer science fundamentals are asked in Microsoft. I knew that. So I focused on database management systems, operating systems. These I studied for like a month, 1 month each, in depth. Like you cannot go it on the basis of college theory, because that is not asked there. They'll ask you very practical questions that will actually be used in your software engineering. How do like you made a project, so they will ask that which database did you use, why did you use this, why did you use a relational based, why not a non-relational based, which tech stack did you use, like very much into depth and crux they will go to understand the whole concept. So whatever projects you make, I always say that make just two projects, and make them like with your full heart, and you should know the ins and outs of it from everything. And it should have a sufficient scale. It should not be copied from YouTube or anywhere. It should be your own idea. And obviously, you can take references from GitHub and different platforms, but do not copy it completely. Take references, and like it should be something that you are always aware about it. Anybody that asks you, even in your sleep, you should be aware that why this line of code is doing this and why it has been inserted, and make it like automate. There is, since there are a lot of things, try to automate your work. Like since you're solving DSA in the mornings, like why what I used to do is divide my day in half. Since I did not have to go to college in my second and third years, it was pandemic. So we had a lot of time as compared to the students right now. It's definitely more difficult for them. So used to divide my day in half. Initially, I used to do DSA for the initial part, then some workout, and then when I'm refreshed and rejuvenated again, the second part I would practice all my pending work and journal like what did I do, what did I did not do, where I need to work more. So incorporate a feedback loop within your process and automate everything. So for DSA, what I used was I made a Notion template. Like for each question, what is the time and space complexity? What are the approaches that I'm going to use? So automate your life. That is what software engineer. You are automating others' tasks. Try to optimize your life also through automating tasks. So it will be much easier, and you will be able to do a lot more work than that. So and keep revising. Revision is very important. Like keep a day sacred just for your revision. In let's say 1 month you did operating system, and right now you're doing database and management, so revise operating system every month subsequent to those months. So at least once in a month these concepts should be revised, and practice three questions, at least three questions every day. Even if like I will be joining, then also I would be doing a question every day, because it is important for developing your problem solving abilities continuously. We are humans, we tend to forget, so we should always keep revising. That is the only way.
Yes, your preparation strategy looks like so planned and so structured.
That is what I say, that don't, like people say work smartly. No, don't work smartly, work hard and plan smartly. Plan absolutely smartly and work hard in that plan. Like be obsessive with your plan and execute it perfectly. Your execution matters of that plan.
Yes, and like you just told that you gave a Microsoft interview before and you couldn't make it. Like, can you tell us more about that experience?
Okay, so Microsoft Engage is very similar to a hackathon. So they give you first, there is an again an online assessment, and then they give you a problem statement to solve. So after solving, sharing that problem statement, on the basis of that, you are called for interviews. So my mentors gave me good feedback. So I was called only for one interview. Like other people were called for three interviews, I was just called for one interview, final A round. And there she had given me two DSA based questions. I was able to solve one, I was not able to solve the other, and it was very difficult at that stage where I was not that prepared. I thought at that point that it was so difficult, I should not have given, but now I realize that it was important for me, so that I know that where I lack and I improve. So later on, whenever you're being rejected, understand initially it's very obvious that everybody will feel that it was very difficult. You'll try to find difficult the wrong doings and the malpractices of the on the interviewer side, or you will try to ignore the fact that you were not capable. But always there might be your problem, there might be your fault or the other person's fault, that can happen. But always analyze and think rationally. After some point of time you might realize that you can work hard, you can improve, always you can improve.
And
So
how long before the current, like the recent Microsoft interview, like how long was this one before that?
1 year,
1 year.
1 year before.
Okay. And your preparation strategy, I'm telling you, it looks so structured and so planned very well. And like after preparation, like before going to interview, have you ever given any mock tests or mock interviews?
Yes, I do not recommend giving mock interviews with friends. Like what people say, don't give it with friends, because you won't get that feedback. Even like very close friends, you should not give that interview, because it turns out to be a comedy scene rather than a learning environment. Because with friends, it doesn't work. Just try to give a lot of mock interviews with unknown people,
Yes,
and
exactly. And even that's what we exactly do at MockQue. Like, the interviewers who are at MockQue are people like you, like who are currently working in great companies who have cracked those interviews and gone to that companies. And when interviewers like them are interviewing you, you'll get that entire interview experience, and we also give like resume screening and everything, because resume also plays a very important part. It like your
Very
resume
important.
goes inside the room before even you do. I mean, that decides whether you get into the
For off
interview or not.
campus, like for off campus, resume is the key. For off campus placements, resume is only going to land you everywhere. So resume is very important.
Exactly. And have you ever faced, like, you speak so confident, but I still, let me ask this question. Have you ever faced this interview anxiety when you're sitting in like cold feet? That fear in the interview.
Every time, everybody faces that. It is very normal. But you know that you're going to be anxious. So, as I told, do not think about the consequence or the result. Just think about, I'm going to learn something. That person is going to teach me something. I'm going to learn something from there. And hopefully, I'm going to exhibit my qualities more. See, your best problem solving abilities will never be reflected in an interview. Never. It is always going to be your average that is going to be reflected. So bring your average to that level that he will hire you.
Mm.
Never it is going to happen that your best solving ability is going to be portrayed, because for that you require a very calm environment, relaxed mind, and that is not possible in an interview. Even the interviewer gets confused sometimes. It
Mm.
is so, bring out your average to be a certain state that you will get hired. So practice on improving yourself. That is what I say. Your hard skills matter, technical skills matter, and your soft skills also matter. Definitely. You need to be fluent with communication and easily explaining a solution. There are a lot of students I know who are better than me. Seriously, a lot better than me at technical skills, but sometimes they are not able to explain their approach. And how will he know that you know? How will the interviewer know that you know the solution unless you are able to
Exactly.
communicate? So it is very important. Communication is 50% of the interview game. It is not even 30-40. It is 50%, and the other 50% is 40% is your technical skills, and then 10% is the luck or situation. That is
Yeah, that
probably
also plays a role. Totally agreeing with it.
that is completely random. So you have to improve your communication also.
And have you ever faced any challenge to balance your academics with your preparation?
Uh, I would say a bit less than what students are facing right now, because ours was online mode. But in the final semester, when placements were going on and we had to give online exam, definitely it is tough. But think in long term, what is more important to you, and take your decisions. All your short decisions or the recent decisions should be taken accounting. What is your long term goal? Is it fulfilling that? Is it going in that direction? And not completely deteriorating your GP also. That should also not happen. You should keep a balance between that. Like 1 week before your college exams, it is like everybody for college exams, everybody studies just 1 week before in engineering, especially. Everybody does that. So rest of the time you can give for your preparation for placements, and just 1 week before you need to give yourself some time, and you will be able to do that. So engineering exams are not that difficult.
And what is that one thing which you wish that you had done different throughout your preparation? Like one thing you regretted that I should have done it the other way.
I should have focused more on development, I would say. I'm an average developer and I should have focused more on that. So I'm trying to learn more in that area. I like heavy backend part. I'm trying to learn that, because you need to balance out things. At that point where I was earlier in my journey, placements were more important than the current tech internships or working in startups. That was cracking a safe placement was more important. So that is why I went towards DSA. So I should have balanced it out more and worked for development also. So I'm trying to improve it right now.
And how much role do you think your college background played in the interview? You cracked this on campus, but like, have you ever explored the situation of off-campus students who are like applying from tier two, tier three colleges?
Like in the recent environment, I don't agree on the point that there is some tier in colleges or there is some branch differentiation. Like anybody from everywhere can excel. It is just the matter of skills. But obviously there are the opportunities are more. Like I had, like there are opportunities more for certain colleges, some certain better colleges. But if your skill outweighs that, then it is not important. Then your college and branch, nothing is important. Like these days, BCA, MCA people are doing better than BTech students. I have seen some students who are doing very good. So it is not a matter of anything like your college, your branch, or where you come from. Nothing matters. It's just your skill. You need to sharpen them. Like you would need to sharpen them more than anybody else, but it has to outweigh that college margin, because somebody who is in a good college has worked hard to reach there. So you have to overcome that barrier that he had worked extra.
Mhm.
So you have to overcome that in some way.
We hope for many upcoming successes in your career, and hopefully, we will meet soon again with another topic to discuss about in this interview. Thank you so
Okay.
much,
Thank
Pranjal.
you. Thank you, Keerti.
Thank you.